I mean, it's a couple of days and you can generate a lot of products that we would never be able to generate in that amount of time in a one-by-one workflow.
All right, welcome everyone. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Today we are meeting and having a conversation with Nuno Sousa. Did I say that right?
Yep.
Right, Nuno Sousa from Impetus Group in Portugal. So Straylands, as you guys know, Straylands AI and Impetus have recently signed a partnership, and we are officially together in this AI journey. And Nuno has been a great partner in this journey. What we want to do today is talk a little bit about Nuno, about a little bit about his experience in 3D and AI. Talk about Impetus Group's work, like touching a little bit on subjects like how they got started with 3D, how do they move with 3D and AI, like how did they get, kind of partner in those two workflows, and kind of where they are today and where they're looking at in the future with a lot of things that are coming out, not only from us, but just AI in general. So with that, I want to welcome Nuno. Nuno, thank you again for taking the time.
Thank you.
If you want to just give us a quick intro, tell us a little bit about yourself, we can get started.
Yep. Sure. My name is Nuno, as you know. I've been a graphic designer for the past like 20 years or so. I joined Impetus Group in 2008 to work as a graphic designer. My work was mostly centered in communication and image departments, marketing. So I did a lot of catalogs, worked with photos, helped any department internally that I could help. Basically, fashion design team especially was one of our first clients, basically. And so Impetus Group is a company specialized in manufacturing of underwear. We have men and women's underwear, but we are specializing mostly in men underwear. We're trying to evolve in this market as well. We do also beachwear. We have a product line, which is more targeted the target is more younger audience. And we are also been since 2001 or 2002, I'm not sure, entered in the seamless manufacturing garments for sportswear, basically. That's basically about it. Why we started, if you want to go into that right away.
Let's do it.
We started 3D work basically when COVID hit us. I guess it was one of the good things that we could take out from COVID was that it forced us to be more digital. And it was really something that was important for this industry, which is was a very, at the time, old school industry, I would say. I mean, if you look at the sewing machine, it really hasn't evolved much since the industrial time, so everything is done the same way. So this necessity that we felt that we needed to digitize some things led us into COVID, so into 3D. And why 3D? Because, I was laid off when COVID hit us. 3 months at home, I just basically watched Netflix, and I did the whole range of YouTube tutorials that they had for Glow at the time. And I really got into the thing. When I returned from my layoff, I just basically presented a 3D collection of a recent line that we had just launched, and I presented it to our boards. They were actually very happy with the results, and we're like, okay, this could be like a way. We initially started by doing simple things like socks, which was already a good step for us. I've never done a sock in my life. There were no tutorials for socks online as well. So
I was gonna say it sounds simple, but socks is pretty complex when it comes to 3D.
Yeah. If you look at underwear, it also is like a simple product. There are no buttons, no zippers, no nothing, but still it's a very complicated process, especially the fitting part, because everything needs to fit tightly. It was the start of an adventure back in 2020 that led us to this moment now where we are already working with 3D and AI, basically. So everything,
nice.
Everyone thought it was interesting to figure how we could implement this, and this led to the creation of our DPC department, the department that I'm leading right now.
Nice. So question on that, because that's interesting that you guys didn't do 3D, were forced to do it. That's not something that you were doing before COVID. This kind of pushed you to learn something new. You kind of started, you said Clo, right? That's kind of what you started with. Cool. And then, so in the context of that, what was the company trying to achieve, right? Because I feel like a lot of companies, when they start 3D, they either it's either or. I feel, I don't know. My
Yeah,
experience is they either don't have anything in mind, and 3D is just like, this sounds like a cool thing. They've heard a lot about it, or they haven't heard anything, but they see the benefits, and they just kind of want to play around. Some other companies are like, we have the problem. Obviously in COVID, it was very specific, right? No samples, people working from home, all these things. You couldn't do fittings, you couldn't do all these things, and they saw 3D as an opportunity to mitigate some of those problems. What happened at Impetus? Like, how do you guys get started with 3D? Because obviously you brought it to the board, you brought it to the table, and what would people thinking of doing with this?
I think the most important part was what you just mentioned about the samples. So, I mean,
Okay.
we, besides working with our own brands, we also manufacture for a lot of brands worldwide. We've worked with almost the biggest brands that there are out there, and we've done underwear for them. If we're not doing it now, we probably have done it in the past. So this led to something that, I mean, when you have a sample and you need to ensure that the sample arrives to the client on that day, but then something gets delayed in production and you end up sending a digital sample, it's like, so the product is on its way, but it's like, so this is how it's going to look like. And the client's is like, okay, I mean, we can validate. We'll still wait for the physical garment, but it looks fine
Okay.
to us. So it helped us like get to the client faster, basically. And
Right.
once this got around internally with our private label brands, when we started doing this for Impetus, this led to basically a reduction of the number of samples that we did. So I mean, it's always a positive thing, right?
Right. Right. Right.
That
Right.
was probably the
That
most important part, sampling.
that's awesome. And so let's talk about the AI journey. Where or maybe let's talk a little bit about like the evolution of that 3D workflow
Yeah,
and where
yeah,
does
yeah, yeah.
AI start? Because my understanding is you started obviously reducing samples, so the cost and the actual manufacturing time. Um, you moved to using 3D for more than that, and you started putting 3D on your website and working with your partners directly as well to use the imagery. Tell us a little bit about that journey, and where does AI come in?
Yeah. So uh, everything started with the 3D, obviously. So
Right.
we have around 600 SKUs every season. We have 2 seasons years. We make catalogs, spring, summer, and fall, winter. So this amounts to 1,200 SKUs, mainly year or around that value. We started feeding all our catalogs with the product shots that we used to make in a photographer, which we paid like between 15 to 20 to 25 euros, depending on if it was an underwear garment or if it was a pajama.
Mhm.
But I mean, if you get to this amount of products and you have to do a front, a back picture, and a detail, this is really costly. Was really costly for us at the time, and this
Right.
3D evolution led us to basically save all that money. And besides that, the money that we used to spend making the samples, which is obviously
Right.
uh, the most expensive part in the process. Um, After we started feeding all our catalogs and all our e-commerce and all our clients, also external retail partners who also use our images in their e-commerce, uh, we started getting requests of people that's like, so we missed like the photo with the people dressed to check
Hmm.
the fitting. So it would be
Right.
very important for us to get also those images. And we were like, okay, so we are in 3D. Let's continue with 3D. We started
Right.
rendering things with the avatars that we had in Clo. And I mean, it could work, but it wasn't realistic enough. So we tried other softwares like the S3D to like make a model at our specs or our
Right.
specifications and basically try to we purchased a lot of skins and hairs and a lot of so we played a little bit with the software and
Yeah.
then we basically because we were importing this avatar to Glow and we weren't placing the skeleton because that would take a lot of time.
Right.
We started basically just importing directly because we had no skeleton. The fitting part was a very important part that made us lose a lot of time. We ended up having to make another 3D file of the same garment just to fit on the avatar, on the realistic
Yeah.
avatar we had. At the time,
Not a
we weren't
workflow.
even using faces because the faces, man, those empty eyes they were really scary. So we opted out for cutting always the face of the model. And so
Right.
basically, this was the first time that we started doing like real or try to do it basically the most
Right.
realistic avatar that we could get. And this was implemented even though I was really unsure about the quality of the dummy, let's say. In one meeting here, we did a test internally. We called a few people, and people were like, "Oh yeah, but does something look weird in the avatar to you in this picture that you had? We
Nice.
didn't mention it was 3D, and it stuck basically." So everyone's like, "Let's do it. Let's put this on our website and let's share it with all our retail partners." Even though most of them did not say anything, did not mention the fact that it was 3D, and you could obviously notice if you were in the area working.
Yep.
We did get some comments of some retail partners who were like, "Oh, this dummy isn't realistic enough. Uh, is there another chance that we
Okay.
could improve this?" So basically, after making like 2 seasons, we were about to upload the second new season to the website, and everything laid still, and we could not do anything. So basically, it
Hmm.
was this necessity that we had to basically do a virtual try-on. The way I was searching was that like a virtual
Okay.
try-on of our garments into a realistic model. So we had the product 3Ds, and we had the product rendered also in the realistic avatar. And it was
Hmm.
basically a process of trial and error, trying to see. We tested a lot of AI tools that were available at the time. None of them was like qualifying, let's say,
Right. Right. Right.
or good enough for us to use them. And to that, we would prefer to continue using the 3D avatar. So I
Right.
think the key moment was when we first got in contact with a partner, basically in India, which we ended up doing a catalog with them.
Hmm.
The results at the time were the best thing that we could ever like imagine for a final output, and we ended up doing a catalog with them.
Right.
But I mean, at one point, Gemini 2.5 came out with this nano banana. I
Right.
was like, let's see what the hell is this nano
Yeah.
banana thing.
Yeah. The world
Uh,
kind of blew up for a little bit when that came
yeah,
out.
yeah. And then we started seeing all these companies that did basically AI generative work for that directly or specific for fashion. And there was so many companies rising at the time. We got in contact with a lot of them, and some of them were charging us absolutely absurd amounts of money. It was like almost to us looking at well, for that amount of money, I could almost do a photo shoot. So perhaps we need to rethink this
Right.
process. Let's see what we can do with it. And yeah, basically the search for AI came from this. So we needed to make our 3D avatars look more realistic. And it was basically just this, picking up our 3D avatar, feeding it to an AI generative system, and try to see what results we could achieve, basically.
Right. Right. That's interesting. But at the time, you still had your two workflows. You still had your regular avatar and then your realistic avatar. And then you were taking the realistic avatar and put in 3D on, or sorry, applying AI to it to make it more realistic.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's my understanding. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So okay. So that seems like a natural evolution of going from hey, we're not doing it 3D to doing 3D to now what's the 3D plus AI workflow, which I feel like a lot of companies have been trying to figure out like their own juice, you know.
We
Um,
tried it also when we failed, basically, because I mean, we were doing the 3D avatar in pose, in a specific
right,
pose, let's say.
right.
And then we try to feed it with that pose so that the outcome or the output of that generation would be the most similar to the pose that we already have. Because later what we found is that we had a problem with the print patterns that we usually use. And I mean, if
Mhm.
you're working in a development stage where things are not yet defined, I mean, if the flower is a bit rounded and not so square as you wanted it, you can always work around that during the development stage. But we were trying to make the thing realistic because I mean we have to represent the product as it is in reality, and
Right,
the fact that we were generating stuff that would later be changed. It was a generation inside of a generation. Let's say the print would be changed. So this led us to
right,
basically cut and paste our render, our product from the render to the realistic body. And this took absurd
right.
amounts of hours on our
I
side.
was
And we,
gonna
our team is just comprised, at the time was just comprised of 2 people. Now we have a third member who joined as a junior, which is in training. But I mean, it was a lot of work, 600 SKUs, 3 renders of each SKU of products, and then
right.
another 2 renders front and back with the avatar, realistic avatar, let's say. And then with the AI process, I mean, every single one of these renders, we were pass them always through Photoshop to correct some color things that we needed to correct. So, I mean, it was
Because
absurd amounts
AI
of time.
because the AI tools that you were using, one, took a lot of time, and two, were distorting your color and your graphics?
Yeah, basically.
Okay, cool. So, all right. So to summarize, it seems like the problems were around timing, like the amount of time that it took to do all this work. When does straight lines come in? How do you go from, okay, we have this kind of like broken workflow, but it kind of works. We have 3Ds with somewhat realistic avatars. We have a couple of tools, generic tools like you said, Gemini, and then another partner that you did some catalogs with.
Yep.
Where do we come in? Like, what's the story behind you guys going from, okay, this is our workflow, like let's try this thing with straight lines AI?
So we, with Gemini, basically doing try-ons, simplify the process for us a lot because there was no need anymore to do the 3D avatar in pose, basically. So we could just pick up our product renders the way they were, feed them into the system with Gemini, and basically just dress this on this type of person, basically. And
Right.
that result led to basically another successful workflow that we created that later became an extra amount of time spent on our side as well, because then everything needs to go through Photoshop, and then the output sizes were very small, so we needed to enlarge everything and make sure everything was up to spec. But yeah, so at one point I just shared the catalog that we had just done and the workflow with a friend who basically introduced me to Griff, and at the time I did not know Streetlines AI. And yeah, basically I met with Griff. I showed him what we were doing at the time with AI and 3D. He thought the process was good, and let's see if we can help you in any way. And basically everything started from that. I think the honesty from your side in making sure that we understood that, okay, there are so many AI companies because everyone is using the same language model. So it's normal to see a lot of companies rising on that side. But yeah, Griff told me that, okay, let's see how can we improve your workflow. Basically, we were doing one picture at a time. Gemini is basically the chat window that you have, similar to ChatGPT or anything else, where you basically just upload an image and provide the prompt of the things you want. But Griff told me at the time that, okay, so if you are using always the same prompt base, you can basically create a workflow and use just one prompt to generate a lot of pictures. I was like, yeah, I mean, that sounds like the best plan possible. I mean, we saved a lot of hours in Photoshop and in 3D with the fact that we eliminated the 3D avatar. And now we are doing one image at a time in Gemini. But okay, so it's possible. Can we like outfit a number of products in different models, in different poses? And it's like, I mean, yeah, we can surely try. And we tried it. And I mean, the results were amazing. I think at one point I called Griff and I told him, look, man, I'm going to crash straight lines. We check the servers. Everything's going to blow. You need a fire extinguisher because I'm going to put, like, I have 55 products I need to do. And I basically used one prompt. I uploaded 50 products with 52 or 53 JPEGs that I have uploaded at one time using a prompt that was already there. And I just clicked generate, and then I saw them coming up one by one. So if you use this type of workflow, I mean, yeah, I don't have to say that time is money, but yeah, time is money. So yeah, we saved a lot of time, which means we have more money available to spend in other places.
Right. That makes total sense. So outside of that's awesome that was your experience, and that's awesome that you were able to see the value, because obviously we believe in automation and saving time. Our efficiencies is kind of like our motto. What was your experience with building the work, like the how easy it was to build the workflow and kind of put it into action, and what do you think about the quality of the output that came out?
So the fact that the best thing that we had in terms of image generation was with, I mean, the best results that we had was with Gemini. So the fact that Griff introduced us to this area where we could create our own workflows, the output was the same as we were getting with Gemini. So, I mean, that's already good enough, basically. And yeah, it still saves us a lot of time because we don't have to do one by one. I mean, we are always copying and pasting prompts from different chat windows, and uploading the same different JPEGs of different products. But I mean, it saves us an absurd amount of time. The fact that we can do this one by one. Sorry,
Many at a time.
I think I need to edit that. Yeah.
It's okay. Awesome. No, that's great. What has been the reception from everyone internally at the company and then your partners, your customers, your clients? What has been the reception when it comes to the visuals and obviously the quality? Because the workflow, I mean, that's important for you, and obviously it's important that you guys save money, but at the end of the day, your buyers and your partners
Feedback.
don't care about that. Yeah. What's the feedback?
So basically, I did the 52, 53 products at once to test the outfitting part at Streetlines platform, because we had this client who complained that, okay, so we have a big zoom on our website, and every time you scroll the mouse over, you get this big print on the screen that does not match the product. And we were like, okay, so we were not prepared that people were doing a 300% or 400% zoom on their website. I don't even know why they do that, but I mean, it's their site, they do what they want. And I was trying to find a way that we could go around this problem. I mean, we know that the pixel density will never be enough to withhold like 300% zooming. So what I thought at the time was like they were using square images and they were sending them vertical images from head to the knees. So to my view, the best way that we could go around that was basically just generate the image from like the belly button up to mid thigh or above the knees, and this would automatically generate a bigger image. Not necessarily more pixel density, but at least with realism enough that it would uphold the zoom of 200 or 300%.
Right.
And so, I mean, I cropped everything. I passed everything through Photoshop later. I sent the images to the client, and that was a very picky client. It was like the pickiest guys that we have to choose images from. They are always commenting. They were the first client who also commented that we were using dummies. The dummies were not realistic enough, so I was kind of like, let's see how this works. And amazingly, they sent an email in French, which I love. It was like, oh, très bien, merci. And it was like, that's like they're
Nice.
not complaining, so that was already a good feedback. I mean,
awesome.
internally, I just got a comment from one of my colleagues. We just prepared the whole range of products for fall winter 26, 27, and the girl from marketing here at the company, my colleague, just sent me the congrats to the team because the work is like amazing, and it's good to see that the tool is evolving way above our expectations. So I mean, it's always a good thing to hear good feedback.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the future. I think the audience and anyone watching this would appreciate your understanding of what comes next, because it seems like it's already a pretty advanced workflow to use your 3Ds for e-commerce. Not every company does that. A lot of times they stay kind of like at the fit and kind of like sample reducing, but they don't go all the way to put 3Ds in front of a consumer. You took the advantage of AI to do that. You are using the Streetlines tool that allows you to do automated workflows, customized workflows for what you guys do. What comes next with our tool, with your workflows, and with AI in general?
What's the word, man? So I'm a little bit scared about the future, but I'm also hopeful about new things that are coming. Because the thing is evolving so fast. You look back and you think, okay, every time someone mentioned innovation, things would take like 10, 20, 30 years to implement. And now you talk about innovation and things come out every week. A different new stuff comes out that's better than the previous one. I think it's great to see and to be a part of this evolution that's happening. I think the main thing that we need now is bigger size outputs. So I've already mentioned to Griff, which has been my main contact for Streetlines, and I've already tested upscalers. So I think we need a bigger size output now. That's the thing to hope for the future, because we also do posters, and I mean, with Gemini 3, which is already also implemented, we get like double the size almost. And we've tested here internally. We are doing posters as well. We supply posters for our retail shops as well. and those posters go like 60 by 90 centimeters. Sorry, I don't speak in inches. But what else you do that's a meter by a meter 60 or a meter by 2 meters. So we really need to. I mean, if you print an image as is in one of those posters in those sizes, it will not qualify in terms of quality. But I mean, it's good to see that now with Gemini 3, the size has doubled, and I'm sure that it will be soon that we will have an output image much bigger. That's something to hope for. And one thing that I'm also hoping to be able to do, which is like, when you compare, I was just talking to my colleague now before coming up to this interview. When you compare the absurd amount of time that we spent trying to learn 3D, and now with this AI implementation that is like, I mean, we test a tool, we make a prompt, we get a result, and basically that's it. And it's just basically trying to get to know the best way to communicate with the AI. Mm-hmm. I mean, we went from months to like, oh yeah, a couple of hours. Yeah, it was good to. I mean, yeah, it works. That's good enough for us. We will continue doing it like this. But I think we had a tremendous amount of difficulties with the fashion design team. I mean, it's very technical to work with 3D software. Even though to us was kind of simpler, we come from a graphic design background, so we are used to testing a lot of tools. But I've never worked with 3D. Never had worked with 3D before joining this DPC team here at Impetus. But yeah, I think the thing to look forward also for the future is to integrate also our fashion designers. They are already using Gemini as well, but I really wanted to get them into straight lines. We did a test with a sketch, just the bottom part of an underwear garment for women's, and because there are guidelines that people need to follow and not abuse of the tools and whatnot. Generated a model from head to toes, basically, with our garment. Very cool. What surprised me is that we got a top part as well. I mean, the model is not with her boobs out, let's say. They are covered, but they were not just covered with any bra. They were covered with a type of bra that matched the bottom sketch. So, I mean, it could even help us. Okay, oh, this might work for us. This type of cut here on the cleavage. Yeah, okay, so let's try and do some stripes like this. I think it's a tool that you could get like could be a big help for the team. Yeah, basically.
Right. That's great, man. Appreciate the time. I want to thank you so much for the time to do the interview. Thank you for taking us through your journey
Thank
of
you, man.
3D. AI and what the future of AI is for Impetus. Call to action. Let's talk a little bit about how to contact you. I guess you're on social media as Nuno Sousa, right? Like on LinkedIn mainly. If people want to contact you, ask you questions, we get some of those sometimes. People want to talk to you further. And then your website, so impetus.pt. Is that correct?
Impetus.pt is our company website. If you want to go to our brand site and see all these things that we were talking about, 3Ds and AI models, you can go to impetusunderwear.com, and you will basically get to our work. Basically, it's all our work from our department there in that table.
Awesome. Thank you, Nuno, so much. We'll close it up. Appreciate all your support throughout the partnership, the feedback, and obviously thank you for taking the time today.
Thank you.
Have a good one, man. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.